Now we are officially live to talk about death. Hey everybody, thank you for joining. Everybody is, Guruji has joined too. Pin comment. Hi, Pranam Guruji, we are waiting for you to send a request and then we can have you join us. Yeah, thank you for everybody who's joined timely. I think death, unfortunately, has been a really big theme in a lot of people's lives. You know, during COVID, we always think about it as what does the fatality mean? What does death mean? What is a pandemic going to mean to us like that? And it's brought us really up close and personal with the idea of death. And a lot of people I know have actually lost a lot of loved ones too. And how is this really, how are we going to view death? What is death? Why are we so afraid of it? You know, so all of that and so many other things. I know growing up I was so much more scared of death, and it's changed now. But death is also such a reminder for us to live our lives in a certain way. I don't know if Guruji, we don't have a request from you yet. So, a little bit louder, huh? I've gotten that twice today. That's so weird. Is it better now? Can you all hear me a little bit better? Let me know, okay? Yeah, okay, this is Guruji's here. Let's have him join us. It's just connecting. I hope everybody's having a fabulous Wednesday. Guruji, can you see yourself and me?
Yes, now I can see myself.
Okay, pranam Guruji.
What about the sound is clear?
Yeah, for me the sound is very clear, Guruji. Can you hear me clearly?
Perfect.
Okay, great, Guruji. So I guess we are perfect then.
I guess you can see me also.
I can see you. I think everybody can see you. Yes. So,
Okay.
yeah, this is a big topic, Guruji, that we've taken on today. And a lot of people have written to me already that they're wanting to see and understand what this is. So let us begin, Guruji. Pranam to you
Pranam.
and humble namaskar to you. So, Guruji, this is a topic that people, when it comes to death, right? A lot of people want to even dismiss the concept. They don't want to even think about death. It's so scary for us to think about death, right? So the minute, that's why even COVID has become such a scare for people, because they instantly think about what if this ends, this whole drama ends one day for me. So Guruji, let us start with what should a normal layman, how do we start viewing death? And then we'll go into deeper questions.
Okay. This question itself is very deep.
Yes. Yes, that's true.
Death, we cannot explain what death is. Who can explain what life is or birth is? These are all, the questions which are beyond our senses. So, what we should do is just follow the instructions of our masters and just understand the essence of their teachings. That is what we can do. So, here also some disturbances. There also is okay.
Yeah. It's
Little bit
perfectly okay.
distracted.
No. Here it's perfectly okay. My little girl just passed, but I'm completely fine, Guruji. Completely fine.
Okay. That in Sanskrit, it means mrityu. Mrityu in yogic language, it is mutation. From one stage to other stage, how we transform ourselves into that. Another way we can say it's like a metamorphosis. nobody knows what is our static state. Everything is evanescent. So if you want to see something which is changing, or the whole universe is undergoing through a constant changing, how we can recognize that change? Only by understanding the background of that change. That is the reality of existence, which is incomprehensible. So if you ask me a question, what is death? Understand the evanescence of this world is death. Or in modern science, it is called mutation. Everything is, undergoing through a mutation. That is why even our body is called in yoga or Ayurveda or Siddha Veda, you can see Shiryade Anena Idi Sharira. A molecule or a composition of molecules, an aggregate of 5 types of elements. And it is having a presentation, but keep on changing. That's why we say this nothing is static or permanent in this body or in this world. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. The reality is incomprehensible, but what you see, what you feel as this universe is Mithya. It's something illusory. We cannot say nothing is there, but that is not the reality which we see. Yes.
Right. So, Guruji, like you said last time, right, that death is a plane of consciousness which is going to lead to a metamorphosis. You basically, it's a change. It's an energetic change, and you may, you kind of have been suddenly displaced from this physical, gross reality, and there's a difference in the energetic plane. So, Guruji, while this is while because of the work we've done, because of the conversations we've had, I can understand why this is like that. But, the question then becomes, right, we all come, it takes a mother and a father to have a child, and we're all interconnected as human beings. We're all interdependent as human beings. And then when we think of our own death, or more so a death of a loved one, in spite of knowing this reality, it becomes very difficult and scary for a person to even imagine. For example, the death of parents, for most people, it's the scariest thought for somebody, right? It's completely dismissed, even from little children. So even though we understand this at one level, and there is such a fear at the other level, how do we bridge this gap? What type of sadhana, what type of understanding is going to allow us to bridge that gap?
The sadhana for bridging this is Kundalini Yoga. Just awaken the Kundalini. Then you will experience what death is. Actually, death is possible through 5 ways.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you are not eating food beyond certain limit, many days, you will die. If you are not getting water due to dehydration, you will die. If you are not getting heat, you will die. If you are not breathing, you will die.
Panch Mahabharata.
Yes, if you cannot get proper sleep, if you are not getting rest, or if you disconnect yourself from nature, that is the 5th element, you will die. But first 3 elements is very dangerous. If you fast beyond certain limit, when this death hormone develops, I'm sorry to say, we have to explain something which is beyond comprehension.
Yes, of
through
course.
our limited language.
Of course.
If somebody asking that, what is the, like proof for death hormone, I'm sorry.
Yes, of course, Guruji, of course.
I am talking from my experience with an authorization from our scriptures. This is what Swami Vivekananda said. Shruti, Yukti, Anubhava.
Yes.
So we can hear from Shrutis, our masters, then put for your reason,
Yukti.
Then you bring it into practice. This is what I did. So when we fast beyond certain limit, the 6th Vayu is called Marana Vayu. the air of the prana or air of death, it will be awakened. That is what is called Kundalini. So that Kundalini will start moving, or it will be awakened from Muladhara. It will start slowly moving up. By the time you can see, if you go through that experience, first few times when you get this Kundalini awakening, there will be an excruciating pain from Muladhara, which is beyond explanation. So by the time, actually, our consciousness will be so scared. That time, our autonomic nervous system will be activated as if we are in a dangerous situation. By the time, there will be a hormone produced by the body. That is what I call that
The
hormone.
death hormone.
That moment, if you are conscious, it will be a fantastic, ecstatic experience. But that is a sign of death. This state is called samadhi. So we go beyond our five senses. Or you can call it yoga nidra. It's like naturally a person is, suppose that person is getting this much pain, he will become unconscious. He will fall into sushupti or deep sleep. But if it is done through practice, you will not fall asleep. You will not become unconscious. Instead of becoming unconscious, your consciousness will go to the highest plane, which is called super consciousness or yoga nidra. Body will be as same as in your deep sleep, but your mind is in a different plane of existence. It will be in a different dimension. But it is exuberance. If you put into words, exuberance, ecstatic, intoxicated, words are too limited to explain that experience. Actually, that is a spark of death. If we accustom ourselves with that, we will come to know what is death. That is what is called revelation or final emancipation or experiencing immortality. There we will come to know we have not got anything to possess. These possessions are in our conscious level. Now you asked the question, when my parents die, or my children, or my friends, or somebody dies, what is there? Actually, death is, as far as intellect is concerned, losing our possessions. That is why we are scared. But if you experience that ecstatic feeling of death in our samadhi state, you will come to know you are not possessing anything. If you don't have to possess anything, what you are going to lose? That lost feeling will be gone and it will be eliminated. Yes, another thing, when this death hormone establishes in our body, all other glands will be under our control. So we can define our journey of life other than like depending on the other hormones like adrenaline, then like bile juice and all those things. So only way to conquer the fear of death is awaken the Kundalini. That's all.
Okay, Guruji, I'm going to summarize this and I have some questions and I know people have questions too. So, Guruji, when you experience the state that in this living body, through Kundalini sadhana, where your body and your consciousness, you understand that body is different and the consciousness is merged with a greater consciousness and you have that experience, putting your body physically in a situation where everything is locked and still, all your senses have kind of stopped, literally replicating death. And when you experience that consciously, you begin to understand how temporary or transient this body is. And that continuously doing that, and I can see why that's true, Guruji, because even in the humble meditations I do, I can start seeing this kind of understanding, to slightly creep in, that I'm so much more than my body. You know, my body is such a small part of me. It's like not even a part of me, but I'm something, you know, connected to the cosmos. As that happens, we will start identifying or feeling the feeling that nothing is mine. But Guruji, that being said, right, as we live every day in our life, as we are doing our dharma, kam, moksha, we have communication with others, we have interdependency. Today, for example, my children need me to cook their food, to drop them to school. So I understand that their soul is on a different journey and mine is. But when something, you know, when suddenly something from your immediate environment that you're interacting with every day, like for example, children really do need their parents in a certain time, you know, if, and at that point, if when death happens, how is one to deal with all the unfinished business? Because you are still in the sansar. You're trying, you know, and children don't have this kind of understanding. So how do you deal with something like that, for example?
Okay, let me repeat the question which I understood. So if parents are dead, what that children will do? Is this the question?
No, that we all create interdependencies with each other, Guruji. In living, in our Purushartha, we create interdependencies, right? For example, you and I are having this life today, or, you know, somebody is depending on me to give them a certain service, or somebody is depending on me to cook lunch for them. And when suddenly, right, when one person loses their body and dies, so as to say, then everybody else has left with unfinished business with that person. And that closure, Guruji, it, even though we understand it, that closure becomes very difficult. And especially when sudden deaths, especially in traumatic deaths. And what does a traumatic death really even mean? You know, when somebody has a really traumatic death, where is that in the karmic plane? And how are people supposed to deal with it?
Yes, you label it as traumatic death because you are traumatized by your intellect. That is the cause. If I die, do you think that my children and my wife and my friends, everybody will die to, along with me? No, nothing will happen. Even if, now we have 7 point some, billion people around the world. If 500 million, died, do you think that something will happen in nature? Nothing will happen. Even if this coronavirus, it's killing like 2 or 3 billions of people. Do you think that others will commit suicide? No, nothing will change. Nature will be getting more potential for other species. And what is happening is we have a limited intellect and we try to bring everything within the limit of that intellect. And we become ourselves. We put ourselves into the slavery of our senses. That is why we think, oh, unless I cook food for my child, what will happen? Hey, children are born by themselves. They know what to do. Whether you are available or not, air is supplied for them, and mist is there, water is there, the gravity is there. They will survive. What we think that we create certain exchanges, law of exchange. Then immediately one party vanished. Then how the exchange is possible? This is what is happening in our limited intellect. When we go beyond the intellect only, the law of death can be defined or experienced. Otherwise, we keep questioning like this because the questions are taken out from our intellect. This is why last conversation I told you about one blind child. A child is born blind and very intellectual, and it started studying through the Braille, letter, and it came to know everything about the intellectual knowledge is very high. So that child came to you and asked, Auntie, you are talking about rainbow, and you say that there are 7 colors. What do you mean by color? How will you give answer for that question? Think. We are all intellectually, blind or spiritually blind. We don't have the 6th sense activated. That is why we are asking questions like that blind child. If we take that child to the hospital and a good ophthalmologist checked it and found a small nerve is blocked and take the child for a surgery and cleared it, then child got the vision. When he sees the world and sees the color of rainbow, all his questions will be answered from his experience. Same way now we keep on talking about death. Death can be experienced only when somebody opens the sixth sense or the third eye, jnana chakshus. So knowledge will be revealed to us the moment we open the sixth sense, or technically Kundalini awakening. Or modern scientific way we can say autonomic nervous system should be activated deliberately, not compulsively, should be consciously, activated.
No, that makes a lot of sense, Guruji, what you said. And I think just the thing that we think we have such a big role in this universe that, oh, I'm supposed to cook for my children. Oh, I'm supposed, or this person, we exaggerate. When you said that even half of the world population goes, the world will still go on. That, I think that is a great reminder to give ourselves that the world provides for itself. When we get stuck in that place, assuming that we have a magnanimous role or somebody else has a huge role, we are actually preventing the flow of energies that is supposed to happen naturally. And we kind of become this really sthula energy. So I can imagine now, Guruji, that makes a lot of sense. I want everyone, I hope we can all remember this. So Guruji, there are questions and I want to take some of these questions. And even I have so many, but let's start with them because they're all relevant to what we said. Okay. 1 second. The first question is, this is a very interesting question. Is this excruciating pain experienced during birth as well? So you know how, Guruji, you expressed to us that how when you experience death, samadhi, in Kundalini Yoga, when you can be at that state. What is happening at birth? What is the reality that's happening at birth?
Yes. A newborn baby, if you observe, what will be the first action or reaction from that baby?
Crying.
Crying. That also not ordinary cry, screaming because of that excruciating pain. Actually, what's happening? The child was getting everything through a pipe, umbilical cord. So air, then food, heat, everything was supplied through that umbilical cord. Then that nauli means that hollow pipe, once it is cut off, immediately the windpipe will be opened. Then the atmospheric air will be pushed in. Because that moment this activity is open, there will be an excruciating pain. That is why the child is screaming. Otherwise, if that is not happening, child cannot survive. Once the wind or the windpipe is open, life is on in this intellectual world. It will be continued maybe 70, 80, 90 years of a lifespan. Then one day will come, this windpipe will be blocked and another pipe will be opened. That is what is called Brahmarandra. Randra means hole. Brahma means the cosmic reality. So when we are born, umbilical cord is cut off, then the windpipe is on. Then the moment we got the birth, death is already fixed. Anybody is born has to face death. Anybody already died will have to face a birth again. So it's a continuous process. So after this one is blocked, this will be opened and we will remain in a different plane of existence. So death pain and birth pain are similar or same.
Great, Guruji. And now I'm remembering when I studied yoga and I studied the intellectually studied Kundalini yoga. I remember the Brahmarandra, and then how, when it comes to Vishuddha, and then after that. So, yeah, and it's amazing, Guruji, just to even think that our Shastras, today anatomically they can understand this. Oh, the windpipe is opened up and the umbilicus is cut. But, our Shastras kind of explained this back then so well and so beautifully that, till your Manipur, there's a certain energy, then there's an elevated energy. Wow. So great. So Guruji's Kitchen and Other Stories says, what if you have no fear of death for yourself, but can't wipe with the loss of a loved one? So even though you understand intellectually, so for me personally, in that question, I have no life purpose since I lost my mother.
Once again, please.
So Guruji, she's saying that, she's not scared of death for herself. She's okay with that. But she feels no life purpose since she lost her mother. So it's kind of similar to what you explained, Guruji, but still, if there's anything that you want to say to her.
If she thinks that, there is no fear of death and I don't care of my death, this is only a simple, management of our intellect. We really do care for others. Nobody can go beyond this, bondages as long as, intellect is activated. But we will try to satisfy ourselves that, no, I can handle it. This is only some kind of self-motivation. But in deep level, we have these concerns. So no need to go for an intellectual definition for these kind of things. Nobody has gone forever. If she wants to understand exactly what had happened to her mother, is the plane of consciousness.
Yeah.
Then she experienced her mother of existence. I'm not simply claiming that I do experience this. If we can raise our consciousness to different planes, we can be in touch with other living beings existing in different plane of consciousness, especially our Pragadilaya, our masters, who had gone through this, severe practices. They are existing in different planes of consciousness. In Samadhi, different state of Samadhi like Sabija, Sasnida. So we can change our plane of consciousness. That time we can, interact with these people. I do this as I do with you.
Yes, Guruji. I have experienced, I was just saying last week on my live, that I do experience energies of my grandfather. He passed away 13, 14 years ago. But when I want to experience him, I don't even know how to explain it, but I experience his energies. And I don't know where he is or what it is. So I know exactly what you mean. So Guruji, what you're saying is through this practice, right? Not because of the yearning of somebody, but as we continue this kind of practice, we will be able to just unite ourselves with all the other energies, and then we won't feel that kind of distance that we start feeling when we lose a loved one. You feel united in the realm of the cosmos, and that separation doesn't exist anymore.
Yes.
And it doesn't feel like such a severe loss.
Yes. Now, again, we are thinking about duality, gain and loss and love and care and attachment. There is nothing existing as we experience through our intellects. This is the problem. It is very, very difficult to go beyond the intellect through cogitation. We can go beyond the intellect only through meditation. You can practice karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga, and can be well established into 3 levels of yoga, but still you are bounded. And that is why Raja Yoga or Kundalini Yoga, other 3 yogas are the practice of many actions, either devotion or action or intellectual exercise.
Give and take outside.
Yes, but 4th yoga is extreme silence. That is why it's called Mauna Sadhana. Mauna means just observe the silence, arrest the functions of the senses. That is what is called Raja Yoga. People who are immersing themselves into that extreme silence is called Mauni, which is Mauna in Sanskrit, extreme silence. That's why they are called Agastya Muni, Parashara Muni. They are all Munis because they are establishing themselves into silence. Now, in modern language, you can keep in mind, if you go through quantum physics, they declare that with substantial evidences that the world which we see as material world is not existing. This is only a temporary manifestation of extra physical plane of consciousness. This is what our masters said, the pranic existence, pranic body. So if you go through the Kathopanishad, it is very clearly said, Indriyebhya parahya artha, ardhepecha param mana, manasastu para buddhi, buddhiratma mahanpara, mahadaparam, avyaktam, avyaktat purushapara. See, now quantum physics reached to only 3 planes. From our molecular level, they went to mental level. Then from mental level, they could go to a plane which they say extra or subatomic level or submicroscopic level or extra physical domain of existence. 3 planes only they could say. But our masters clearly said, from the molecular level, material world, go to the mental body to the intellectual body. From the intellectual body, you can go to avyakta, unmodified state of energy. Then beyond that, Purushapara, cosmic intelligence you can experience, which is called the Brahma. When you reach there, still you are aware of that. You have the right and confidence and courage to declare that Aham Brahmasmi. Now I know that. When we reach that level only, these questions will be vanished from within.
Yes, Guruji. I know. There are a lot of questions, Guruji. Somebody's asked, how about a person who commits suicide or gets murdered? After death, are they in the same plane as those who have passed on? So, Guruji, I want to also say one thing. And I just want to understand from you. I know it's an intellectual question, but I always feel like the state that you die in, right, is kind of the state, is the deepest sanskar that you're born with in a new sthula reality. And, I always feel that if you're going to commit suicide in that much pain, then you are actually going to invite at least a physical life which is carrying that sanskar of pain forward. And I think that is the similar question, that after, if something like that occurs and one's life is taken by oneself or by another person, is that true then? Are they born with that reality?
Again, see, when somebody commits suicide, they will be in pain and stress and whatever it is. But when that process of death happens, actually they will smile from within. The pain is only for the people who are remaining in the conscious level or the intellectual world. If one of my friends commits suicide, I may think that, he might have been in extreme pain. Yes, he had gone through that pain, but after that pain, the other side of that excruciating pain is an ecstatic pleasure. So then everybody leaving the body will be in a plane of consciousness, which usually our intellect cannot understand that. We, the remaining people, only creating stories about that. That's all.
So, Guruji, but then after that, right now, when we say this, right, it's so tempting for people to be like, oh, my life is sad, but if I commit suicide, it's going to be happy afterwards. So then I might as well, right? So what happens then when a person like that, right? So when you kind of experience the connection with the cosmos and you experience that bliss for, for moments, the samadhi bliss. But then when you're reincarnated and you have your new sthula sharir, at that point, how your life was ended in this, how this particular life period ended, and how the next one begins. Do they have a connection in the state of mind?
Okay. Again, now let me ask you a question. When a wave in the ocean, a mighty wave, you saw it, and it subsided, and that same wave may be, manifesting in the other side. What is the difference between these two level of existence?
What is the difference between them? No, they're similar.
Same. Our life, this present life is a particular wave, a temporary wave in this cosmic ocean, and it is subsided. Then it is coming up. We label it as reincarnation. In reality, there is no difference. But in our limited intellect, we see multitudes of differences. That is why from the very beginning I said, this is actually, again, this is what happened to even Yajnavalkya Maharshi. Gargi was asking questions like this. Finally, Guru became tired of listening these questions. Then said, now stop asking these questions. Then Gargi asked, what else I should do? Go and meditate.
We do that from Wednesday to Wednesday, Guruji. Every Wednesday to Wednesday we meditate and then we come back with more questions.
This is why, see, you are hungry. And I told you to have some food. Instead of having the food, you kept on asking questions about food and hunger. When you will manage with your hunger?
No, between Wednesday and Wednesday, Guruji. Between the two Wednesdays, we eat. And then we ask more questions.
Of course. But these questions have been asked from the time immemorial.
Yes, I agree.
It will be continuing to ask.
Yes.
So long as the humanity remains. But I am happy to listen these questions, but I don't want to give you exaggerated stories or quoting from scriptures.
That's fair.
It will be a good time pass. But people who are thinking about this should remind ourselves that unless we awaken the Kundalini, none of these questions will be answered.
I promise you, Guruji, I work hard every day. I wake up and I meditate and I do my kumbhak and I sit for 1 hour. Now I sit here and every day.
I can see the changes on you. Yes. Changing. Yes.
And I can see, Guruji, that how the understanding is changing every day as well by doing this. But what I'm imagining in my mind as you're saying this, Guruji, is that this, like quantum physics, now they say in the modern world, or what our Shastras say, is that, you have one sthula sharir, which is just all that energy coming together as, particles. And then it kind of annihilates, it kind of disperses and at the time of death. And when it disperses, you kind of understand that you're just this energy, your energy in the cosmos. And then again, you can have another life. I mean, you can call it, then it's because we are still so actively charged, those particles are still so, those energy is still so charged, they again become particle. And they again kind of, take a new roop, just a physical form. And depending on what this roop was, it temporarily disperses, but it comes back. And then that temporarily disperses. And depending on how strong the charge we hold in our life will determine how dense these particles are.
These questions are also based on our, deep fear of death. We want to understand what is after death. We will change the words. We will change, the formulation of sentences we will change. But only thing I can tell you is molecules means microcosm and macrocosm. even our intellect is saying that there is no difference between micro and macro. There is a book called Shambhu Surodayam in Siddhaveda. It is clearly said, Brahmanda Kanda Pindadya Soraineva Vinirma. Srishti Samhara Kartaja Swara Sakshat Maheshu. Means a minute molecule, Andandam and Brahmandam, both are same. Now modern science also says that there is no difference between microcosm and macrocosm. But it is beyond, again, our senses. So we keep asking, okay, how many micros will be combined together to make one molecule? And how many molecules will produce a body? These are all questions raised from the deep fear of death or our ignorance. We are striving for the knowledge of our reality. And only one path, only door is open for us is Kundalini Yoga. Just hold the breath, practice death. As we know, if we are not breathing more than 2.5 minutes, we will get brain death. If oxygen is blocked more than 3 minutes, heart will stop. But through systematic practice, spending 20 to 30 minutes a day, within few years, everybody will be capable of holding the breath more than 3 minutes. When we do that, we will come to know we are going to die, or the death process will take place in our body. Then only the death hormone, the autonomic nervous system will be activated. Then we will experience death. The moment we experience that, these questions will vanish. We will go beyond the limitation of a molecule. Actually, again, what I said in quantum physics, mental energy is slowly condensing back to a molecule. Then from molecule, that same mind can be going back to the energy level. This can be possible, or this state can be observed in this Kundalini awakening state. So how mind will be converting itself into matter, and matter is coming back to mind. There, yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha. See, modern science and our ancient masters are coming to this point. And when we experience this process, there is no world is existing as we experience now. If this world is not existing, what is the relevance of all these questions? This is the struggle of a master. To explain the evanescence, the usury, the essence of this illusion. How we can explain the essence of illusion? Illusion itself is,
illusion. It's not. Yeah.
That is what.
Yes. Yeah, Guruji. I just don't want anyone to think that, okay, that is better, so let's just, commit suicide. That's so scary for me to think.
But one more thing, when you commit suicide, yes, you are going to the other plane of consciousness. Still, your life is like that. Here also you are having only one plane of consciousness. You are tired of having this, and you shifted this plane to other plane. There also you are trapped, because you are experiencing only one plane of consciousness. The benefit of death or samadhi is the difference between death and samadhi.
Yes, most powerful thing
is when you experience death, you are losing one. Suppose you have a fantastic house, you are enjoying your home, but after a few years you became tired of having that. Then you sold that house and you bought another one. That means this house has gone forever from you. No more experience inside. And you are going to another house. There also you will be tired after a few years. Then you sold that, took another one. But that is called death. You left this body. Vasamsi jirnani yada vihaya. as you change one old dress and wearing a new one, body keeps on changing. That is death. But samadhi is you own the whole world. Millions of houses are there. You are the owner of all these things. So this property or the significance of house will be vanished because you can be everywhere. That is the benefit of experiencing samadhi. I experience my death pain and go to another plane of consciousness, experience that, go beyond that and experience many, many things, and comfortably I will come back to this plane of consciousness also whenever I am in need of that. That is the mastery of life. The other one is the slavery of life. So
Absolutely.
you decide, you want to live like a slave or a master? That is the question.
So, Guruji, that was the most powerful thing today, what you said. I think that really explains the whole topic, that samadhi and death. Death
Yes.
is just a change of a plane of consciousness,
Yes.
and it is not still understanding the unity of the cosmos, like just the whole world as it is. That non-duality, that can only be experienced through samadhi. Because in samadhi, you're able to have witnessed multiple planes of consciousness at the same
Yes.
time. All of the reality becomes manifest to you. You just know it by deep
Yes.
knowing. And when you know that, of course, you're a master of life. There's no more slavery. You're not doing it because you're scared of life. You understand this, and you probably start laughing at that point. You're probably laughing at that
Yes, of
point.
course.
And anything else, whether it's taking your own life, it's all from a point of slavery. And you may go to another plane for some time, but that's again you're a slave of that plane.
Yes.
Just as you were a slave of this plane, you become a slave of that plane. So the true mastery is really in going to that level. Okay, that was really, really good, Guruji. Okay, so Guruji, some people have some practical questions, and even I had a question about, how do you, when somebody passes away, what the family, how should they grieve? But this question is, Vikram asks, does the soul that has left the body remain attached to the consciousness that it was in this body immediately after death? Meaning, is it energetically? They say that, oh, the soul is not happy. Let the soul be in peace. So I think the question that he's asking is that soul or Jivatma still attached to what he's left behind for some time after death?
No. Actually, that memory is within us.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that hidden memory will be activated and we feel something. It doesn't mean that the departed soul is coming back and it is attached with the body. This is only our imagination or our creation, our own creation. And this is how religions have started. Many parts of the world, many communities, many times, they started thinking that once a soul leaves the body, and soul will remain in different plane of existence, and it will have have an attachment with the body. See, Egyptians thought that if one body is kept intact, the soul also will be happy with that. That's why they constructed this huge pyramids and they kept the body inside the pyramid safe. But that was a belief. In reality, there is no difference between the body and soul. But through our intellect, we see the difference. But when we go beyond the intellect, there is no difference between matter and energy.
Mm-hmm. So all of this was just created by the world for their own ritualistic purposes. But the truth is way beyond that. And it's a very even, and it's multiple planes of consciousness all in one. We are creating this kind of duality. Oh, present there, half present here, in peace, not in peace, all of those things. I see what you're saying.
Come back to the hormone. These thoughts are developed within everybody's body through hormones. If I am in pain, I will have a pain hormone. If I know how to change it, through my own mind, I am a master. If I am not capable of doing that, I am diseased. Then I have to go to a doctor to get a painkiller. Painkiller also a chemical, some kind of hormone. That's all.
They change, everything is changing the chemistry in your body, basically.
Of
It's a
course,
it's a lab. It's a lab, and we're just, it depends on the chemicals that are happening. No, I understand that, Guruji. I think that was very well explained by one of, I think I heard a fourth session, that it's all a game of these chemicals.
of course. Learn to play with that chemicals. Then life will be like you will create your heaven. If you don't know how to play with your hormones, usually life will be
Hell.
like in the hell. Yes.
So, Guruji, in the last few years in the Western world, right, they've suddenly understood, oh, the endocrine system is this big, because which has all the hormones and the neurotransmitters. Now they've suddenly understood that so many diseases are linked to the endocrine system, a system which they never gave importance to before. But like you're saying, that anything that's released in your body, which comes from certain place, changes your reality, creates these addictions, or these belief systems, and makes you live in this. So that state of samadhi is when all of those, everything in your body has come to a point which is just more deeper, is more, like you said, autonomic nervous system, it becomes your parasympathetic nervous system is activated, and you experience that deep state. There are so many questions, Guruji. People keep asking about, ancestral trauma. That if there is, what is ancestral trauma? Is there such a thing as ancestral trauma? Also, Guruji, one question that has come up many times today is that, oh, if somebody is murdered, should we think it's their karma? How does one address it?
Again, nothing is happening in this world without the approval of that minute molecule. Like if I want to be born as a human being, how it is happening? My consciousness will be taking a human body and I will draw my own destiny. Again, if I explain like this, the listeners will get many questions because it cannot be captured within the limits of our intellect. But still, I can give some kind of guidelines only. It's only guidelines, not the destination. What I'm saying is, before we take this first self, our zygote, we will exist in our conscious level. That consciousness is entering in the male body. Suppose I want to be born as a human being, I have to enter in a human body. If I want to be a tiger, I have to enter in a tiger's body. So that consciousness will be entered and it will produce some kind of, like molecular things which we can label it as sperm. Then that sperm will decide in which female body it has to develop. Then everything is happening with the proper plan. This is what is that we call genetic memory. It's like Jiva Bodha. See the similarity, we can see everything. The genetic memory is called Jiva Bodha. Then that Jiva Bodha is taking that molecular form. Then when it enters in the female body, it will produce first cell zygote, then slowly zygote will multiply itself into a full grown embryo. Then the moment that embryo comes out or the baby comes out and the umbilical cord is cut off, as we discussed, this windpipe will be opened. As this atmospheric air pushes inside, up to that moment we will be remembering everything. But during this time, with that excruciating pain, what I said, there will be a wheel which will cover, which will make the difference between our intuition and the intellect. There will be a big gap or a thick curtain which will separate our intellect and our intuition. Here we get confusion over. We know everything. We know heart has a memory. Everybody is asking. They are really struggling to get an answer for this question because everybody knows the reality in the deep depth of the heart, in the intuitive level. But never intellect can understand that.
Mm-hmm.
That is what is called the wheel of Maya, wheel of illusion.
Mm-hmm.
Yoga says do the continuous systematic practice to make a union between intellect and illusion.
Mm-hmm.
Make a bridge between your brain and your heart. Then these questions will be completely understood. So long as we maintain this gap, these questions will remain unanswered. So this ancestral memory is because we know which dimensions we already exist at.
Mm-hmm.
Minimum 7 plane of consciousness will be implanted, in a strong way
Mm-hmm.
in our body.
Mm-hmm.
So this ancestral memory, 7 levels, we have a very live memories.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people keep on asking questions. But there is not only 7, countless memories are there. But to an ordinary person who is limited with the intellectual frame of consciousness, we can say 7 levels can be traced out or explained little bit. But when we go beyond these levels only, the reality will be exposed to us. This is the concept of Sarparajni Vigraha in India. You can see many millions of Vigrahas, idols are there.
Yeah.
And among these idols, Shivalinga is the most powerful one.
Yeah.
But there is another idol also more powerful than Shivalinga is Sarparajni. Means we can see a small Shivalinga. On top of that, you can see a foot of a snake.
Yeah, I have it.
Then
It's right.
there are many, Sarparajni Vigrahas. This number of the hoods will be changing. Like 6, 7, 8, 9 hoods are there. That is actually a symbol of our plane of consciousness. In ordinary people, from Mooladhara, this Ila Pingala, Polara lunar nerves are coming like 2-1, and it is coming to our center of eyebrows. You can see some section of our spiritual, practitioners. They put different types of bindis here, especially people from Krishna consciousness. They use one U type and a spot over here. Actually, that is a sign which will be, shown in the meditator's forehead. If you look carefully, you can see a scar over there. It depends on the method of meditation. So first hood can come like this. If this is a Shivalinga, first hood, second hood, third hood, this, you can deliberately take these 2 nerves, connect it into different planes of consciousness. That is what is called Suryayanam. Suryayanam means the journey towards light. So we can take it higher and higher. Usually there are idols which is having 108 hoods. That means in the Jabamala, the meditative we have 108 plane of consciousness already existing in our body. We can explore it. So these things are only for our intellectual explanation. But when we experience only, we will come to know the abundance of our potential.
So, guys, everybody who's listening, the lesson is leave all of this, go and meditate. Meditate. We have to meditate till we can really reach that avastha where we can experience what Guruji is talking about. Then everything else becomes so funny and silly, and you just understand that life is so transient, so not in our hands. Some of the things, Guruji, that you said before we end, I want to say, is the mrityu is mutation. We all should remember that. Mrityu is mutation. Difference between samadhi and death is just you move to another plane, you get trapped again. Samadhi is an all-knowing. It's the union of the intellect and the intuition. And as we keep focusing on our intellect more and more and more, we go away from our intuition. Guruji keeps pulling us back. He patiently answers our questions, our intellectual questions, but constantly reminds us to go back to our intuition. So while all of this is very useful and really teaches us the main job from Wednesday to Wednesday is to awaken the intuition.
Yes.
So I just wanted to summarize that, Guruji. And I know we had
Yeah.
talked about the Ida and Pingla a few times. And the one great example that Guruji gave in the first session was like two wires come together. And when they
Yes.
connect, there is electric, there is
Spark.
sound and light, there's that
Together.
Brahmanad. And that is what is literally happening in our body. So there is a physical aspect and there is an emotional aspect. But you use that intuition to awaken that power within you and find that unity. Okay, Guruji, makes a lot of sense. This was really, really lovely. But Guruji, we may need another follow-up session, Guruji, because the one thing we want to talk about is when somebody does lose a loved one in their house, and they're doing, what practices in those days, Guruji. It is a challenging reality, and they can continue to do these practices. And there's a lot, are there any recommendations for how do you address what comes up as grief, as memories, at a cremation, burial, all of those things? Do you think it might be useful to take that topic for us, Guruji? Because in practical reality, people face that a lot now.
Of course, we can give intellectual explanations to a certain extent.
Yeah, okay.
Beyond
Only
that, we can remind everybody to experience the reality behind the rituals.
Yes, Guruji. Absolutely. And I think everybody, you do such a great job of bringing us back, Guruji. Every time we digress, you bring us back and you remind us. No, really, Guruji, I can't tell you. You've reminded us. I know for me, it's been life-changing, on a daily basis when something happens, that remembering of, the cosmic reality has really been game-changing. And experiencing it, like you said, just reminding is not enough. To experience it, so you can carry a glimpse with you within the day when you go through your day. So that being said, Guruji, we will, so everybody is asking for more sessions. Yeah. See, everybody's saying, let's do more sessions on this topic. So Guruji, next time, this time we went all over the place. Next time in an organized fashion, I will ask you. Today I wanted to take other people's questions also. How do we address with that when we've lost a loved one? Okay, Guruji, thank you so much.
All right.
We will be Wednesday to Wednesday doing our work. Pranam,
Yes,
Guruji.
definitely will do it. Thank
And
you.
Guruji, it is my birthday tomorrow, so I want your blessings. I want to do pranam to you.
Oh, so say advance blessings. Many, many happy returns of the day.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you.
Guruji.
Bye.